sad.
Okay.
Dude.
Let's get on to the last team in this, and honestly, it's the worst team. So great, I'm glad we saved the worst for last. You thought your team was bad, Joe, with the Commanders. You hadn't seen nothing yet. We're now to the Big Apple for the New York Giants. So the best thing that happened to this team this offseason was they brought in Brian Daboll from the Bills. That's probably the best thing that could have happened to this team. Was getting a competent head coach instead of a special teams coordinator from the Patriots, which is what they did the last time with Joe Judge. So they actually brought in a competent adult to run the Giants, which is a good, smart strategy. We'll just start off at the top. The best player that's going to be available on this team, and that's Saquon Barkley. He's going as RB10 right now, an underdog. And I get it. I'm sure a lot of people have been spurned by Saquon Barkley. His pictures in training camp look amazing. They looked amazing last year, too. Joe was really excited about his thighs last offseason.
I love a man with good thighs, Bill.
I know, I understand. And his thighs look great this season, offseason, too. So Saquon Barkley, I think, will be the best player on this team that you're going to get your hands on in most offensive drafts. What?
I said the only player you want to get your hands on.
I believe so. Behind him is Matt Breida, the journeyman running back. He's going as running back 72. Not really going to have to worry about him unless Saquon gets hurt, which, I mean, has been happening. So he might be the guy that you just stash on your bench if you grab Barkley. I know that we're kind of somewhat against handcuffs on this podcast, but this one might be a good one to snag just in case. We'll get on to the quarterback, which is Daniel Jones, quarterback 21. I think the best case scenario is that Brian Daboll really lets Daniel Jones loose. I mean, Brian Daboll did unlock Josh Allen. That did happen. So could it happen again? It's definitely within the realm of possibility. And Daniel Jones has never been great. So I don't want to try to make this sound better than it is. He's never been great, but there is a potential for him to be good. And I think if you're in super flex leagues, you're definitely going to be excited about having him as your QB2. But I'd say in one QB leagues, you could probably leave Daniel Jones on the waiver wire. I don't know if you want that headache sitting on your bench. On to the wide receivers quickly because they're not really the great options here. Kenny Gallaudet is your best option, wide receiver 57 on underdog right now. Don't love that. I think he is undervalued at wide receiver 57, but I still think that with Daniel Jones, I don't trust anybody on this team. Next wide receiver down from that is Wandel Robinson, the rookie. He's wide receiver 80. Again, he could turn into something. You got Cadarius Tony. Again, we saw the one really pop game from him last season, but we didn't really, that was it. He got hurt after that and never played again. And then you have Joe's favorite player in the NFL, Sterling Shepard, at wide receiver 108. I think his days are numbered based on the Wandel Robinson addition, but I still think you ride Sterling Shepard out for one more year. I think there's going to be a lot of offensive changes next offseason, but this season they're kind of cash strapped. The tight end currently to start is Daniel Bellinger, who they drafted this year. Ricky Seals-Jones is still on the team. Josh said before the podcast there's a potential that this is a Camp News smokescreen, and Ricky Seals-Jones might be the guy. But for now, it's listed to be Daniel Bellinger, so that will be a guy to look for in drafts, especially late, because we don't really know what we're getting from him. And we don't know how good this offense is going to look. What if Daboll comes in there and completely changes everything around? Sorry, I'm trying to make this team sound as good as I possibly can, but there's just really not much more I can do. I'm not even going to go down the list of the players that are after, like lower on the depth chart, because you're not threatened by them. Because you just got, for example, CJ Board, Richie James, Colin Johnson, Darius Slayton, like. It's just a who's who of people you don't want on your fantasy football team. So, guys, I'm sorry. I can't make it sound any better than that. What do you all think of this offense?
I'm just glad that your dog decided to play during this.
Nobody
cares.
My dog is going apeshit for the Giants right now.
Yeah, she's a big fan. Saquon Barkley, I actually really like this year. I think it's because his value isn't ridiculously high. Like, I wasn't going to draft him last year, and even the year before, I would have taken him if I could. But I like Saquon Barkley at 27 right now. I think that's a steal. 3rd round. If you get anything of a semblance, I mean, the guys that are going around him, you got Kamara, James Conner with touchdown regression, James Conner, and then you got Ezekiel Elliott below him. So Kamara, sure, but he's facing a suspension. Did he officially get suspended?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, so he's facing a suspension for sure.
Coming.
I mean, Saquon Barkley, you can do a lot worse in the 3rd round there. I mean, I'll probably go wide receiver in most of my leagues there because you got T. Higgins, AJ Brown around him. But yeah, I don't dislike Saquon Barkley this year. He can't get injured every year. I mean, everybody gets that injury prone thing, but I mean, the team is just bad. That's the only downfall to it, is that he's running for nothing. It's all in vain. It looks like Jerry Jeudy running out there from Drew Lock throwing passes.
Sadly. Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, Saquon's exciting. He's a full year and a half removed from his injury now, so that should be awesome. Dabble should be able to get him going. The guy I'm really excited about is Cadarius Tony. I think he's going to step into that wide receiver 1 role, at least be used that way, especially with what the organization has invested in him. So he's going at wide receiver 44 right now. I mean, he is, for what he could be, he's probably one of the best values in fantasy football right now. So definitely high on Kadarius Tony. If he's your wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2, that's pretty awesome.
What a waste of Kenny Galladay's career, by the way. Can we talk about that? We
knew when he got there, though. That's the worst part of this, is we knew as soon as he signed there that this was going to happen.
I love Kenny Gallaudet too, but man, he's got to get out of there sooner.
He could have gone to the Eagles. I don't want to bring back the Eagles. He could have. He chose to go to the Giants. Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, the Eagles were kind of a dumpster fire at the time too, but I'm sorry. We picked ourselves up a little bit better than the Giants did. Yeah,
a smidge. Okay, let me get on defense quickly because there's a little bit more of a fun topic than the offense because the offense is terrible. So I'll just say Blake Martinez, middle linebacker. He didn't play. He only played 3 games last year before getting injured, but the year before that, he was very useful. He had many 20-point games. He will be a guy. He had, I think, 3 sacks, a couple forced fumbles. He was very effective, and his tackle floor is still always going to be high as the middle linebacker. They added Kavon Thibodeaux, who I'm a huge fan of. They also are putting him as the strong side linebacker. He is a defensive end technically, and that's what his eligibility is going to be. But that also means that they're definitely going to have him rushing from the outside most of the time. So he is going to be covering the tight end, it looks like, and he's also going to be going after the quarterback. So I think his sack floor is higher than we potentially thought. I think this is your defensive rookie of the year right here, Kavon Thibodeaux. But I also have hopes for Dean. But I think Kavon Thibodeaux might be the guy. I think he's got a very good chance to get into 10 sacks this year. I think that is very hopeful with this defense. Other guys on this defense, Azeez Ojulari, I think he could build on what he did last year. He was very good. Xavier McKinney, free safety. He should be above cornerbacks, guys. Well, what are we doing with Trayvon Diggs that Xavier McKinney might last longer than him? Kind of ridiculous. And then Julian Love is the strong safety on the team. He hasn't been uber effective yet in his career, but he has been pretty good. So he's definitely somebody that you could stash at the end of your bench in defensive leagues. And then also Leonard Williams, defensive end. He is from the Jets. That was like 2 years ago now, but he was very effective then. And I think that Leonard Williams could be a guy on your team that you could be happy with. What do we think about this defense?
I agree. I'm actually really excited about the Kavon Ojulari combo. I think that's really what makes a good defensive end, is someone not being able to put the tight end on just one side and blocking the one defensive rusher that they have. So I think the combo there is going to be great. I think rookie of the year could go a lot of ways right now. I think it's a little bold to say that he's going to be rookie of the year. I think if anything, people are going to be more scared of Kavon than they are of Ojulari right now. And I think Ojulari's in for a big year this year. So, but
potential.
Other than that, Tay Crowder is actually a little undershadowed. He did phenomenally when Blake
Yes.
Martinez was out last year, and it looks like they'll both be starting. I imagine they will both. I mean, why wouldn't you put them both in at this point? So,
Well, here's the thing,
You
though.
really can't. There is no depth on this team.
I mean,
behind it,
Beavers
so.
is a great player. I know that sounds ridiculous to say out loud.
Darian Beavers.
Darian Beavers from Cincinnati is a very effective linebacker, and I think that he could potentially be a guy that, if anybody gets injured, could be a guy that leapfrogs up into a starting position.
That's a good one to keep an eye on, because honestly, if there are any injuries on this defense, there's not a lot of guys that can fill in. I don't think Blake Martinez and Tay Crowder will leave the field much at all this year. So a lot of value there.
No, big fan of the starting lineup on this, but if you look at past that, it's not good.
Well, I mean, look, guys, they have 15 rookies on the defense at various levels of the depth chart. You can tell they went cheap because they kind of overpaid some of their huge contracts. Barkley looking at you, Gallaudet looking at you. But they are going to, after this season, when we can start clearing up some of that cap room, we can maybe get this team back with some talent on it. But there is still some value to be had here, but I don't think this team is going to be one that you're looking at this season thinking, oh, that could be the team that is the underdog that comes out of nowhere. I don't think it's going to be the Giants this season.
So who's there?